Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren from Lauren and the Books. And today I'm going to be talking about my 2016 reading resolutions update. So I've just watched, Minnie's just eviling me over the door. I've just watched the video of my 2016 reading resolutions video that I made at the end of last year. First of all, I'm very polite in that video. No swearing, no making an idiot of myself, very polite. I've got red hair and it makes me think, I'd quite like red hair again. So I will link that video down below so you can see what my reading resolutions were when I made them at the end of 2015. But I'm just going to be talking through some of the resolutions that I've made and how I'm getting on with them. So the first one is that my main resolution was that I wanted to read 110 books this year. I'm just going to have a look at my Goodreads. I know I'm up to date with this, but I'm just going to have a look and see how I'm getting on. Reading challenge, my challenge. I've read 59 out of 110 books, which makes me 54% through the challenge. I believe I'm 12 books ahead of schedule, which is wonderful, wonderful going. This might back up. I'd always like to stay like 2 or 3 books ahead of schedule just to keep things interesting. But I am planning on rereading The Goldfinch over the summer, which is a very, very big book, and I'd also maybe like to read the second Game of Thrones book. So these are big books which are going to sort of like drag down my time. So I normally read about 2 or 3 books a week, but when I'm reading like a big book like that, for instance, the first Game of Thrones took me 10 days to read, which although doesn't sound like long, like that's a really long time for me to read one book. So I've got a few like long books coming up, so I'd like to stay ahead of schedule, but at the moment I've read 59 out of 110 books, which is 54% of my reading challenge, so really, really pleased with that so far. The next thing that I set myself was that I wanted to be able to read a graphic novel a year. I'm relatively new to graphic novels. In fact, I only read my first graphic novel probably a year ago. So when I only read my first graphic novel after I started BookTube, and I started BookTube like a year ago last week. And I have been reading a graphic novel a month this year. In fact, I've sometimes been reading more. So at the moment, I'm reading Saga. I've also got Sex Criminals Volume 1 to read, and I use the library to get them out, and I've been buying them, and yeah, so I've been definitely doing that. So one big tick for that. Well done, Lauren. The next thing was that I wanted to do a buddy reader month. So I have been buddy reading. The only month I didn't do any buddy reading was in May, because so after we did Genreathon, there was quite a lot of like buddy reads going on for that and quite a lot of interaction. I thought, oh, I just want a simple month in May of just reading what I fancy, not having to read along with somebody or not having to restrict myself to 50 pages a day or something like that. So I didn't do any buddy reads in May. So I have been buddy reading apart from in May. I've got a buddy read starting on Monday, which will be tomorrow. And I am going to be buddy reading Arcadia with a few girls, which I'm very much looking forward to. Chelsea from Reading Outlaw, Caitlin from Kitty G, and Jean from Bookish Thoughts, amongst others, which will be lovely. So I'm looking forward to starting that on Monday. And yeah, I have been doing the buddy reads, so well done, another big tick for me. Well done, Lauren. The next thing, this is when the big ticks stop being the big ticks. My TBR jar, look at me settling back so I can talk about my TBR jar. Let me get that pillow out. So my TBR jar failed a bit because, so at the beginning of the year, I had over 100 books on my bookshelves that were unread. So I put all of these books, I wrote them on pieces of paper and put them into a jar and pulled out the books at the beginning of the month and would read one of those books. So even if all else failed, then I would read 12 books throughout the year. Books that were on my shelf, sitting there not being read, that were in my TBR jar. So the first month it worked fine. I read Boy, or Danny the Champion of the World, Danny the Champion of the World by Roald Dahl. Then in February I read, what did I read? Oh, Game of Thrones, then I read Game of Thrones. Then in March I pulled out another Roald Dahl book. It was a Roald Dahl short story collection, which I did not get on with at all. Then in April I pulled out Kate Morton's The Lake House and didn't get round to reading that either. And then in May I moved. And in moving, I put a lot of books in storage, and I basically got rid of all my books. These are books that I've sort of like inherited as I've moved into this new place and bought and been sent by publishers and things like that, and the ones that I definitely kept that I knew I wanted to read. But a lot of my books are in storage, so that TBR jar in particular can't be used because a lot of the books are in storage. Some of them I even gave away because I just knew they weren't going to get rid of. So was the TBR jar a good idea? Yes. Do I think I would do it again? Yeah, maybe, because I find it really hard to stick to things, especially now I've decided to sort of scrap my TBR videos as a rule and just sort of like mood read all the time. So maybe that's something I'll come back to, but at the moment I've abandoned the TBR, so sorry about my failure on that. The next thing was that I wanted to listen to an audiobook of books that I'm doing in my book club. So I run 3 book clubs a month. I run an online book club with some friends over Facebook. I run a book club in real life at my place of work. And I have a sort of discussion book club on my local radio station where I sort of pick a book from a genre and then discuss that book and then books in that genre. So for example, I've got one coming up in July where I'm going to be talking about The Girl in the Red Coat by Kate Hamer, and I think that's a very good example of a summer read or a beach read, so I'm going to be discussing beach reads in general. So what I wanted to do was listen to at least one of those books on audiobook to sort of like lessen up my reading, which I have been doing. So at the moment, not in book club at work for this month, but in book club at work for next month, we're going to be talking about Anthony Doerr's All the Light You Cannot See, which is 17 hours long on audiobook. Wow. So I've started listening to that already, so I get about 40 minutes commute. I tend to listen to the radio in the morning, but on the way back I like to listen to an audiobook. So I try and get about an hour's listening in a day, and that's only work day, so I wouldn't listen to them at the weekend or anything. So that's something I've been doing. That's something definitely been helping me out with lessening up, and I really enjoy an audiobook, especially if the narrator's very good, then I enjoy an audiobook. So that I've been doing, tick off for me for that one. The last one was that I have been using my book journal. So I got this for Christmas off of David's mum, and I've been using this book journal religiously. So every single book that I've read this year so far, which as I mentioned earlier is 58 books, 59 books, sorry, I have been, what hasn't registered on my Goodreads then? I wonder. I've been making a note of here, which is very, very helpful because I can get a star rating, so I can talk about the book, who published it, etc., what sort of book it was, and then a little description, and then I get a star rating here and the final word on it. So I've been really enjoying using that because it's very easy to go back to when I'm doing my wrap-ups as well, which is like, before, I just used to sit here when I was talking about my wrap-ups, just pick up books that I've read like 4 weeks ago. I didn't have an effing clue what was going on in them. I'd be like, oh yeah, this was really good, but now I've actually got notes about it, so that could really help me out. So yes, I've been loving this. The only thing I will say is that it only had room for 64 books, so I need to buy a new one because I've only got 5 slots left. So I need to buy a new one, although I probably will photocopy a few of these pages just to last me. And I will probably get this same book journal again because I've very much enjoyed using it. It's busybee.co.uk, but I've seen it on Amazon and I've seen it in Waterstones as well, so that's very helpful. And my final reading resolutions were to do with BookTube in general. So what I had planned to do at the beginning of the year was to post twice a week. So last year I used to post once a week on a Sunday, and this year, and I've managed it so far, although some videos have been slightly late, I've been posting twice a week on a Sunday and on a Wednesday, which works really well for me because it means I can, as I said in my original reading resolutions week, it means my original reading resolutions video, it means that I don't have to sort of like hang around to do a book tag or something like that. So if for instance I was getting to the end of the month and I knew I had to do my wrap up, then what I was going to read next month and things like that, then I know that I wouldn't get around to doing my book tag till like 3 weeks down the line when no one gave a bloody poo about it anymore. So it means that I get to do things a lot quicker, and I've been really, really enjoying that. And I've been sort of like, I use my book journal as well to sort of plan what books, what videos I've got coming up and things like that. And I like to get a sort of schedule, and I make a note of what I've got coming up and things like that. So I've got a little slot there for the 22nd of June because I've got like a few things that I want to do. So if anybody has any book videos that they would like me to make, by the way, then please use this as an opportunity to suggest things, because I'm always looking to make more content, and as you guys are the ones who watch my videos and hopefully enjoy it, then if there's anything I can make that you would enjoy to watch, then please let me know. Just give me a little comment down below, and I would definitely let you know. So those are my reading resolutions. Really pleased with how things are going. The main thing is I'm on target, well on target for my 110 books for this year. So very, very pleased. Makes me think, I wonder what I'll do for 2017. 2016 is not even out of the way yet, Lauren. Don't even start worrying about 2017. But yes, very pleased that that's on target, and very pleased with how I've been doing with the reading. And David and I will be filming a video soon with David's reading, how his reading resolutions are going on. David had planned to read 10 books this year, and no spoilers, but we're going to be talking about how David's been getting on with reading as well. So I'm looking forward to you guys seeing him on the old channel again. And I will see you all again on Wednesday for another BookTube video. Thanks then. Bye!